Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Roadman podcast. I know it's been a while, but today with me I've got BounD. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So why don't we start off with just tell everybody about your channel and what you got going on, and sort of who you are and how you got into being a Halo content creator.
Oh, nice, sweet. I get to plug. That's great news. Yeah. So I mean, I used to actually create content for Halo back in the Halo 3 days in 2008. I think my first video was like on June 1st, 2008. So I was a little bit late to the game. But yes, when I got my first capture card when I was super young, I remember seeing. I was inspired by CM Near and the Halo 2 and Halo 3 Tricks guys. I saw their channel like back in the Halo 2 days, and I was like, oh man, I really want to do that. And he had like this crazy setup with like a video camera and like Firewire, like some old school stuff. But yeah, I found a Dazzle capture card, the red one, for anyone who's around from that time, and started recording content. My first video ever was like a big team betrayals video, which was really silly. Obviously, going into matchmaking and betraying your teammates is not the most appropriate thing to do. And then I ended up going into something else that was kind of jerkish and doing what's called HLG, which again, any longtime Halo fan will be familiar with the term. And I made a bunch of Hidden League gaming content, and the channel grew to about 1,250 subscribers back in 2008, 2009. And then I sort of just like went on into variety content, and the channel eventually died as I moved on to other things. But now I'm back. It's something I always loved doing when I was younger, and now I have a little bit more time to dedicate towards that. So I've just started off with a new video, which was called How Recon Made You Famous. It's all about the recon armor and the journey to getting all of your gamer score, getting the katana, all that sort of stuff. I spent a lot of time on it. It's about 15 minutes long. So if you want to go back and relive that era, or learn about it for the first time, highly recommend going to my channel and checking out that video. It should be right on the channel, the main channel there.
There you go. And of course, there'll be a link to BounD's channel in the description. And I've seen that recon video. It's actually really well put together, nicely edited. Another one of yours I watched was talking about the Halo Infinite custom browser. I checked that out earlier today, actually. And I didn't know you were a StarCraft 2 fan. That's pretty cool. So am I.
Are you? Oh, cool. Which race are you?
You know what? I'm main Zerg. I dabble in Protoss. I don't play Terran. I think they're kind of boring. They're pretty OP. Like I find Terran really powerful, but I just think they're kind of boring to play.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm a Protoss player, so Zerg I'm not really supposed to get along with. But I would say, like, of all the races, Zerg is probably the one that's like, takes the most skill, or how, like, it takes a lot to learn Zerg at first. So I've always had a lot of respect for people who love Zerg.
Yeah, Zerg's got a bit of a barrier to entry as well. But I suppose we should be talking about Halo. When you in that video, one of the ideas I really loved, I actually had a ton of great ideas. You guys should check that one out too. With Infinite coming out soon, was like the host being able to pause the custom game on the browser, and that's sort of something that is sort of lifted from StarCraft because there is that pause ability. But like, it's just such a great idea that I had never thought of, and I think a lot about custom games because I think it's the lifeblood of Halo, and you came up with quite a few concepts that I just never even considered. So now that we know a bit more about Infinite with like bots and the higher lobby sizes, why don't we launch into like what do you have any ideas for custom games or stuff like that? Like how have your views shifted at all in the months from that video? Like what do you think they should do next?
Yeah, I would say it's all pretty much the same as in that video. Thank you for plugging that as well. I mean, it's just honestly that was like the first thing I put out. It wasn't really well put together, but I just wanted to put a bunch of ideas out there. A lot of them I was searching through the forums, and I saw a lot of people in the Halo community came up with a lot of great stuff as well. But yeah, I mean, pausing. I think you got some pros and cons there. I would hate, like, in StarCraft, as everyone can pause, and then like you can also resume, and that might be helpful in a Halo custom games lobby if someone's got to like run to the door or something like that, for sure. But I think you got to do it right. You got to be careful with how you implement that.
Yeah.
Some of the things that I was talking about there was, of course, like really what's super important, and I think all of us Halo fans can agree, is like, first of all, it better launch with custom games, because it was so disappointing that Halo 5 didn't. And they need to have a really functional custom games browser. Like it needs to be easy to use so that I can just jump in and find a game that I want to play and have fun instantly. None of this waiting. It's one of the problems with the like custom games browser and MCC, which is great, by the way, but there's just so much waiting and it takes so long to get things set up. The barrier to entry to even be a host in the custom games browser was honestly pretty terrible. Like you'd have to really spend some time to figure out what you're doing and like download maps and all these different things. Like it's really difficult. What I just want to see them do is make it as simple as possible for me to jump in and host a custom game without even like maybe knowing what it is, or just joining into a random custom game lobby that's out there. So I think that's like the most important thing that they do in Infinite.
That's a good idea, almost like a quick play or like a quick join button where you could just join a custom game that's happening.
Yeah, like even in the original StarCraft, going back to in the 2000s, like they would just have the same thing as the custom games browser now, where you could like scroll through and pick something. But I think they really like excellently did this in StarCraft 2, where like they had an arcade feature where you could go in and you can find all the most popular custom games and then either host them yourself or like auto join. So if there's already one available, you just join right in, or you can just host it and then people will join it because it's popular. There's also
Yeah.
downsides to that as well. Like then you only get really popular games being hosted, and then like you don't find new content as often. So you got to be careful in implementing that, because that was a huge problem when StarCraft 2 launched. But I think you can have a mix of both, right? You have a custom games finder plus like an arcade system. And I'd really like to see 343 implement that with Halo Infinite. I think that's probably the best way to go. Yeah, I agree. The custom games are essential to Infinite success, and something that I hold very dear. So I'm really hoping that they do it right.
Absolutely, yeah. And like you were saying, with wanting it to be simple and easy to use, I think that's more important than ever because, like you were saying, the MCC browser, it's a little clunky. I get that it wasn't a full version that we haven't got our hands on. But even the Halo 5 one's got all sorts of glitches where people join and the lobbies will crash and you don't know things are full until you try to join it and it just says error, like stuff like that. All really good points. And the people that are on the browser, like people still playing Halo 5, people playing MCC, are all like diehard old school Halo fans. Infinite's going to bring in a ton of fresh blood, and those people are going to have a really low tolerance for that kind of BS that we've just been putting up with. If somebody just gets Halo Infinite and they try to join a custom game and it won't work and it's being buggy and it's crashing or whatever, they're just going to play a different game. They're not going to give it the same leeway that fans would. So I think it is really crucial that they get it simple and they get it reliable.
I completely agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on from that, I suppose we just had the E3 conference and the multiplayer reveal, which everybody is pretty much unanimous in that it was amazing. Everything that we've heard was great. Um, was there anything about what we heard that you didn't like, or anything about the reveals that you thought they could have done better, or do you think it was just like perfection? What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I'm definitely in the camp of like, even before E3, I was super hyped, and I feel like, quite frankly, like in my mind, because it is free to play for multiplayer with no barriers, that like Halo Infinite will be successful, and I've kind of held that opinion since that was first announced. I think that's the most important thing that they've done with Halo Infinite. The reveal was awesome. I loved everything about it in terms of multiplayer. I'm just super excited for everything that's coming. Yeah, I don't have any complaints whatsoever. I would say on the story side, that's the place that I'm probably like the most reserved. We've had a lot of Cortana story arcs, and it looks like we're gonna get another one. And I would have preferred if they went into a different direction. I'm sure that the campaign will still be fun. Seeing that first view of like the open world, well, not the first view, but like the best view of the open world that we saw at the C3. It looks really good and really fun, super reminiscent to a game like Breath of the Wild, which I absolutely enjoyed. So I think it's going to be really, really fun in the campaign gameplay, but I don't have high hopes for the story. I didn't like Halo 4 and Halo 5 story that much, especially Halo 5's. So I've got to keep my expectations super duper low for the story going into Halo Infinite.
Yeah, the story I had concerns about as well, and one of the things I always worried about was even if Halo Infinite comes out and it bangs it out of the park, just knocks it away, has a great story with great characters, just out of nowhere, I feel like in order to do that, it would have to sort of just abandon the storyline of Halo 5 and maybe even like retcon it or just wipe it all like clean, which is going to leave some people in the lurch, because although most people, the consensus is that Halo 5 story was terrible, I'm sure it's got its fans out there, and there are probably people that love Fireteam Osiris, for example, and if they just get swept away with little or no explanation, there's going to be some people that are a little bit sour about that. So they're in a bit of a tricky spot with how much of this Halo 5 story do we incorporate and how much of it do we just kind of leave to the wayside and try to do something new. So it's a bit of a balancing act.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's their job's cut out for them. I don't know how you recover from where they're at. Honestly, it's so hard. So I feel for them, but that's essentially why I have very low hopes for the story. And that's okay. I'll be disappointed if they don't, if it's like it's really gonna have to go far to exceed my expectations. But that's okay as long as the game is fun and it plays well. Then I'll be happy.
Yeah, I feel like, just to add on to what I was saying a bit there, like the squad mechanics and stuff like that in Halo 5, for example, like Osiris and Blue Team, it to me that felt like they created characters, or they created yeah, I guess they created characters in order to fulfill a gameplay element for the squad mechanics and the reviving and like what they wanted to do with that. And then it kind of left them with all of these characters now. So when you go back to something like Infinite, that's just like Chief exploring a ring. Now there's 7 other characters that need to have their whereabouts explained. Like, one of their biggest issues, I think, is just that there's too many characters in the mix right now. There's so many. There's, Palmer, Thomas, Roland, all of Osiris, all of Blue Team, Halsey, the Arbiter. Like, it just keeps going, and then they're adding in all these new characters and the Banished and stuff. So there's not going to be a lot of room in this story for everyone to have moments to shine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, and I'm definitely, I watch your videos to learn about lore, and obviously, the people who are listening to this must be a fan of you. But for whatever reason they're not subscribed to you, they definitely should, because you've got some really great videos on the lore that keep me up to date on what's going on in the Halo universe. Um, but yeah, I mean, it did feel that way with Halo 5 for sure. I wasn't even that big of a fan of the like team mechanic and campaign, so it's like it just wasn't there for me at all. I remember seeing like the first cinematic for Halo 5 and thinking, wow, this is amazing, and then basically everything else was downhill from there. So I mean, not to beat Halo 5 to a pulp, but yeah, it's not a good game.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people out there that are gonna die on the hill of defending Halo 5, especially its campaign. Um, if I had to say something negative about what we saw about the reveal, it would actually be about vehicles, funnily enough. And it's just that there wasn't enough for me. The Razorback, which is the new vehicle they showcased, looks so fun. It's got a lot going on. I want to see, at the very minimum, a second new vehicle in the game that they haven't shown us yet. Because if the full roster of vehicles is what we've seen, it's just kind of all the same, right? And then it's just like, are they not going to even bring like back the Mantis? There's no Phaeton or whatever. Like, there has to be a couple more vehicles they're holding back, because it seems very simple, which I get could be what they're going for. But I'd like to see a little bit more. What do you think about that?
Yeah, with the vehicles, I mean, I'm sure there's more to come. So I'm not gonna say too much. Like, I'm sure they want to like keep some of the new stuff or like the rework stuff to a minimum until they can like show it off later. So I imagine we'll probably get a lot of the stuff we love soon. I do find it interesting though that vehicles are now going to like take damage and then drive differently. I don't know if I like that. I know it's a really cool mechanic. When I first saw it, I think I was like most people of like, wow, that's really cool. But I wonder if it'll be fun to play, because for me, I love vehicles in Halo. Big team fan. There's something so satisfying about getting a Ghost or a Warthog, even if I don't have a gunner, and just splattering someone. It's one of my favorite things to do in Halo, and I wonder if that's gonna like be different if my Warthog like loses a wheel super easily. If someone just like BRs my wheel and then it's like off, like, and now I can't drive the vehicle at all anymore. Like, is that gonna make gameplay less fun? So I am concerned about that, I'll say. Super excited to see that this the Razorback can carry weapons. I think it was what was his name? Live from My Basement, another YouTube content creator who actually called that about a month ago, who's saying they should do this. They should have items be something you can put on vehicles. And so I was pretty stoked to see that. I think that's going to add a new gameplay mechanic. That's going to be lots of fun.
Yeah, that looks like a ton of fun. One thing they mentioned was being able to put fusion coils in the back, and I can't see that ending in any good way for the people in the vehicle to just shove a fusion coil in the back of your Warthog. But to each their own, I suppose.
Oh, you're right. That's going to be awesome.
But putting objectives in there will be super handy, and like even like extra weapons. It just adds a little bit of a little bit to the sandbox. It's really fun. But yeah. In terms of that, like destroying the vehicle stuff, the example that you gave and that we keep seeing and everyone keeps talking about is, like you said, blowing up the tires on a Warthog or whatever. But I've been thinking about like how's that going to affect other vehicles? Like, will you be able to shoot for example, one of the rotors on a wasp, and like how is that going to make it react? Will it be unable to fly, or like what happens if you shoot a ghost in like one of its boosters? Will it not be able to boost? And I'm just wondering, is the warthog tire popping is really obvious, and it'll be like, oh, it'll probably not be able to turn as well, or the handling, or it'll drag to the right, or whatever. You know, you can kind of picture what would happen if a tire popped. But when you come to these like alien vehicles, you're like, I don't really know what would happen if it got damaged. So that'll be interesting to see what they do with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're right. I haven't even thought about that. That's a really good point to make. I wonder, yeah, I wonder if it'll like make you drive to the left or like to the right or something, or like you'll move slower, or like maybe you can't move like vertically. Definitely interested to see how that works.
So when you finally get your hands on Halo Infinite, what is the first thing that you're gonna want to do? What's your like plan of action?
Yeah, I hope everyone has sort of the same reaction here. I'm definitely going to the campaign like first thing, going through that. I usually just like grab the campaign, play it on heroic. It's the way the game was meant to be played. Maybe I'll do some achievement hunting after that before I even jump into multiplayer. Depends on like if it's just a really cool challenge to get. And then yeah, once I beat the game and see the ending and you know uh, do all that good stuff, then I'll probably jump into the multiplayer immediately afterwards and spam that for at least like 2 weeks. I think I'm actually going to take 2 weeks just off of work, honestly, and go straight into Halo Infinite because why not?
I've been joking with my buddies that I'm quitting my job when this game comes out, and there's a bit of a kernel of truth to it. I don't know if I'll quit my job, but I might actually take some time off just to play this game when it comes out because I feel like it's warranted at this point. We've been waiting 6 years for a game. I think it's okay to take a week off work and play it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I'm probably going to play it with a couple of friends, and I think we're all going to want to experience the campaign together. So I do also think I'm going to jump straight into campaign. But I anticipate as soon as somebody has to leave, then the rest of us are going to hop into matchmaking, or maybe even hop into Forge first and play around with all the new weapons and vehicles and see what that's all about. Because I'm a big forger, love making Forge maps and stuff. So I really want to see what they do this time around with that.
That's super cool. Like, what's one of your favorite Forge maps that you've ever created?
Ooh, that's a good question. Probably one of the most recent ones that I made on Halo 5 was just a small sort of 4v4 Team Slayer map. It's also set up for Capture the Flag, and it's Forerunner themed. Maybe I'll show it to you sometime. It's really cool. Really proud of it. And the big focal point of the map is a hard light bridge running right across the middle that has like a pit down the bottom of it, and has scripting set up so that there are targets at each base that if you shoot them, the bridge actually goes out for a while. So you can like drop the bridge out when people are coming across with a flag and they'll fall down the pit and die. It's a really fun little
That
element.
is so cool. Yeah, well, the things that you can do with Halo 5 still blow my mind, which makes me even more excited for Infinite with all the attention it's going to get. But that is a really cool concept for a map. I'd love to play that with you, Roadman.
Absolutely. All right, so we've been going strong for like 20 minutes almost. Let's just take a little break. So when I was watching the E3 press conference live, there was a couple other games in there that caught my attention, like Battlefield. Obviously, looks like it's going to be amazing, and there was another like weird little silly game in there called like Party Animals that I thought looked pretty funny. Was there any other games that caught your eye in the at E3 today, or not today, but when it happened?
Well, since you mentioned today, I mean, yeah, the Microsoft press conference. I mean, I'm a big Forza fan for sure. Forza, I mean, you gotta say it right, right? Forza Horizon 5 looks awesome. I'll definitely be getting that. I love that it's in Mexico. The graphics obviously look amazing. I'm not a big graphics guy, like, honestly. It could be like, it could be the 2000s graphics as long as it's fun to play. That's what matters to me. But that looks awesome. I'm super excited for that. Was there anything else? Honestly, not really. Like, what were the other big games? What I wanted to see is I wanted to see something Fable. That would have been cool, but we didn't actually get to see that. I know, of course, everyone's freaking out about the Bethesda stuff, but I haven't been that interested since like Skyrim. I tried a little bit of ESO, it wasn't really my thing. So yeah, nothing too major there. But Nintendo-wise, like what just came out today, I'm super excited for Breath of the Wild 2. Cannot wait for that. I'll definitely be checking out this new Super Metroid game as well. The Super Monkey Ball remakes, like the whole collector's pack. I'll be playing that for sure. So yeah, a lot of exciting news at E3 that I'm definitely looking forward to. How about you, Roman?
Sea of Thieves actually doing their like Pirates of the Caribbean thing looks kind of interesting. I will go on the record and say I hate Sea of Thieves. I think it's a pretty shit game, but I love Pirates of the Caribbean, and the little trailer for that actually made me want to hop back on and check it out. And it comes out in like a week, and it's free, so it might actually entice me enough to hop back on Sea of Thieves and try it out with a couple friends and see what that's like. You ever play Sea of Thieves?
My friends love it. I actually haven't ever played it. I've watched my friends stream it in my Discord. It looks fun. I also had the same reaction, like seeing Jack Sparrow and Pirates of the Caribbean in Sea of Thieves is just brilliant from a marketing perspective. Like it's so smart. I love those movies. I love Jack Sparrow. Like I'm super down with that. I'm probably gonna pick it up since it is free on Game Pass, for sure, just to play with my friends and check that out.
Yeah, and like the voice actor for Jack Sparrow, I don't know if I assume it's not actually Johnny Depp, but he does a fucking great job of sounding like Johnny Depp.
Is it actually not him? That would be crazy to me. But yeah, I mean, like maybe.
No, you know what? I'll look it up right now. Give me a second.
Yeah, I would say like while you're looking that up, I can understand how people would think that because I know like Johnny Depp kind of got canceled there for a little bit, but I think since recent developments, he's probably okay to come back into the industry. So I could see him definitely being a part of that. I sure hope so. Who knows if it could even just be like rehashed audio from the movies? Like who knows, right?
You know what? It looks like I could be wrong. Citation needed. It looks like it actually is Johnny Depp doing the voice.
Yeah, see,
Just
I'm
really
sold.
good.
I'm sold, man. Like, I just need, Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow doing his Jack Sparrow things, and I'll play the game. There you go. Problem solved.
Yeah, and Sea of Thieves, like, I just was never sold on it. I don't feel like there's enough progression or content really in the game. There's no like enemy variety really. I guess I never really got too deep into it. I just looked at the surface level of it and was like, that's not for me. Probably got a few friends that are gonna be mad at me for bashing on it again. but
I
yeah, this will be enough to bring me back and let me give it another shot.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember seeing Sea of Thieves the first time too, and thinking kind of like I like these games that like are just supposed to be fun, and like there's not necessarily like I like that's definitely where this game was like when it was created. You could tell that it was like this is just supposed to be fun with your friends. But I know it struggled with like having objectives where it's like it feels like it's one of those games you play for like a couple of hours and then you're like bored of it. And I still think it might be the case that happens because my friends will play it for like a day and then they won't play it again for like a whole quarter or something like that. So who knows? But hey, if I can play it for free and even if it's just for a day where it's super fun, then I'm super down for that.
Yeah. And then of course Battlefield, was it 2042? Looked amazing. It's like the Battlefield game that we've been waiting for like a decade or whatever. It looks like a proper sequel to like Battlefield 4. After like Battlefield 1 and the other one 19 whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be getting back to like classic Battlefield. I don't even know if you want to call it classic, but like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 style, like Evolution, that Shanghai map with the tornado they showed off looks amazing. So yeah, I'm hyped for Battlefield as well.
Yeah, it looked really cool. Hey, how the tornado like takes into helicopters and whatnot. Also, something like I don't know much about Battlefield, so I can't talk much about the subject. But something I did really enjoy about the Battlefield 2042 trailer was that the part with, of course, the airplane or the jet going up into the air and then like him jumping out and rocket launching the other jet, like jumping back into it. Which I've seen those videos around, even though I haven't played Battlefield. I've seen those clips. And I know that's like integral to like Battlefield's soul, if you will say that. And it's the same thing they did with the Halo reveal, the initial E3 Halo reveal for Infinite, with like plasma grenading the sword into your hands, and like what are some of the other things like the grapple hooking to the top of the ceiling and like getting like a no scope and then like ninjaing some guy, just the kind of stuff that like us as like Halo fans know is like integral to like what makes Halo gameplay fun. So yeah, I thought Battlefield 2042 did that really well in their trailer, and I'm glad Halo sort of followed suit.
Yeah, absolutely. There was another great moment like that with the guy taking cover behind a drop wall, and then the other guy was like grapple shotting or whatever, and he stuck the guy that was using the grapple shot, and it killed them both. Just classic Halo like chaos and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, one thing that I really came around on actually was like fusion coils and throwing them and stuff. When I first saw it, I was like, big deal. Like I will probably never use that. Like it just looks like a weird thing to do. But like seeing it in multiplayer, I can see like the fun potential in it now. I definitely think I'm gonna be chucking fusion coils when I get the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And as someone who's former HLG, I can't wait for the kind of stuff that you can do, like bringing a fusion coil with you and like using it to like boost yourself into like cool places on the map where you can like get a vantage point and snipe some guy. Like that's the kind of stuff I'm super stoked to do.
Oh yeah, or like that little repulsor, you can do like a almost like a rocket jump with that thing too. I don't know if you saw.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, the thing that like bounced back the plasma pistol. Yeah, that you can like use it to like repulse off the ground. That is so cool. Can't wait to play around with that in jump maps.
Yeah, and so you were saying your early channel days was like betraying people in big team battle and stuff like that, and it is, it's kind of a scummy thing, but I'll come clean. I love doing that kind of shit too. I actually plan on doing like a couple videos about just messing around in like Reach BTB, and I feel like it gets a pass because the game's like a decade old, so you don't have to take it seriously all the time. But I love doing shit like getting an enemy inside my Warthog turret and then killing my own team with them, or like a Falcon, or if I'm playing Spire, I'll use the concussion rifle to like bump my teammates off the top of the Spire and kill them, shit like that. Like I'm such a scumbag when I play BTB sometimes. Depends on my mood.
Dude, you got it. That's like part of Halo for sure. I'm sure we've all been there. People who are gonna like rage in the comment section or whatever, like, no, we know you've done it before too. Don't even try to pass it off like you haven't.
Like
But
spend the whole game like teabagging at the enemy team, trying to be friends with them.
yeah, man, absolutely. I usually do it when the game's like obviously lost. Like I'll still do it to this days, right? Where you just like mongoose over to the other side and pretend you're one of them and like see if they like, allow you to stay in their base or something like that. But honestly,
Yeah.
those are some of the best moments in Halo that I can remember. Like having an enemy in your Warthog turret while you're driving around the Warthog is one of the most memeiest things ever.
It's so great. Just your own team is like, oh my god, I'm getting killed by a Warthog, and then they see that like their teammate is driving it and they can't do anything. They're like, if I blow this up with a splazer, I might get booted from the game. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Absolutely, yeah. There was a famous moment that I had way back in the Halo 3 days where we made a splattertage, and in one of those clips, I was driving the Warthog, and a Bungie employee got into my Warthog turret, and he had like the flaming head, which obviously was extremely rare at the time, and he was just shooting people around in my Warthog, and it was a really funny clip, and something I really enjoyed.
Oh man, classic Halo stuff. You see, like that's the kind of stuff that I can't wait to do in Infinite. I can't wait to get like the enemy team in the back of my Razorback and shit like that. Just like doing crazy stuff like that. Oh, tons of
Yeah,
fun.
especially now that it's gonna be 24 people on the map, and I cannot wait.
Oh yeah, dude. I honestly saw Hidden Xperia's reaction to that, and he was actually disappointed. He was hoping for a larger player count, and I honestly disagree with that. I think 24 is perfect for big team battle. If you were to have any more players than that, I would be fine with it, but it would need its own dedicated mode, sort of like Warzone in Halo 5. I feel like 12v12 is going to be more than enough for like a standard BTB game to really make it like feel bigger.
Yeah, and we'll see like how many people can actually be in one game at a time, because I think we're all sort of making the assumption that like in custom games, for example, you can have 24 players, which I imagine will be the minimum, right? But it is odd that 343 hasn't just come out and said, yes, like you can have 24 people in custom games. Maybe they're holding back because you can actually have more. Who knows, right? So I'm holding out hope for that for sure, because it'd be super cool if you could, like, because assuming we have a big sandbox to work with the Forge, which I can only imagine they will at this point with all the next gen hardware and PC. Then I see no reason why someone can't like create their own battle royale if they wanted to, or even like their own campaign. That was something really cool, bringing back to the StarCraft, that the StarCraft mod community did. They made their own campaigns that you could play through that were like a brand new experience, and I think that Halo should be able to do that, and I have a feeling they might. So that's something I'm really looking forward to for sure.
Man, yeah. Imagine triggerable, customizable cutscenes for your Forge maps and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if you've played a lot of those like linear infection maps on Halo 5, where it's like humans have to press the button and then wait for the elevator. And like, imagine if like halfway through that, you actually got to see like a scripted out cutscene of some like a building collapsing or something like that, and then you had to run through the rubble. Like being able to do cutscenes in custom games would be really sick. And like you said, like custom campaigns and stuff like that. Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
a lot of cool
that
shit.
sounds awesome. You're right. Yeah, I didn't even think about that part of it. But why not, right? Why not just have like some sort of a trigger where a camera spins around from point A to point B and shows the tower collapsing? No, it seems like it's not too much of a pipe dream. You know what I mean? So I really hope that that happens.
It seems feasible to me with what we have in Halo 5 because they already have like intro cinematics and stuff like that where you have the cameras moving and we already have scripting, so like you just kind of have to blend the two together to make it show a cinematic mid-match rather than just at the start or just at the end or whatever. Be really cool.
I think as the hype dies down over E3, and I mean, obviously we're all super excited. The like you said, the reception has been overwhelmingly positive. But as I'm starting to kind of like come to grips with what's happened so far, I can't wait to see what's happening with Forge next. You're absolutely right about that.
I'm just waiting for the day that we get to see some Forge. Also waiting for the day we get some flights. I find it very. I don't want to say concerning, just disappointing that they haven't given a, let alone a release date for the game. They can't give us a like a release date for the flights. Even though they said summer, right? So they've only got 2.5 months of time left before summer's over. So we know they're coming soon. But I would just love to know when, so I can book the time off work.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I didn't even think about that. I got to book off the time for work, not when the game releases, but also for the like first flight.
Yeah.
How do you think they're going to distribute those? Do we have any idea of like how that works? Like, because I just assume they're only going to select like a handful of people to start off with.
It's true. I'm hoping that a decent pool of actual like just average Joe people get into it. I'm hoping that the first flight isn't just going to be your MLG guys and your huge content creators and stuff like that. Because like as much as I love those guys, I don't want to watch a video of Hidden Xperia playing Halo Infinite before I get to play Halo Infinite. I'll just be salty.
Yeah, I'll probably be salty too for sure. Especially now that I'm here and I'm like, man, I want to make it. I want to be a Halo content creator. Like that's the dream. And
Be in
like
the
watch
flight. I'm
everyone else
ready. I
get it.
swear. I will
Yeah,
make a
like,
video about your game.
right. Oh man, you're right. I will be salty.
But yeah, as long as you're signed up with your like your Halo Insider and flighting stuff on Waypoint, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm in the insider program for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So you've been in like the MCC flights for like the season 7 in the browser and stuff like that. Like I assume it'll just be stuff like that, right? You'll get an email, then
Yeah, I
I'll
assume they'll probably
leave
still
it
be
to
like time
download.
based as well. Like you probably sign up for a certain time or something, and then like you have to go in at that time, just like it is with the MCC flights, which is a okay with me.
So while we're on the topic of flights, I guess we can talk about like what do you expect to see from the first Halo Infinite flights? Like the first time that's like we get our hands on it, I'm thinking we'll be able to play the BTB mode and maybe a couple maps with like 4v4. I don't really see much beyond that. Maybe a bit of customization.
Well, honestly, the last time I was in a beta, and I'm not even sure if Halo 5 or Halo 4 had one, but the last time I was in a beta was for Halo Reach, way back in the day. I remember that was like just a few multiplayer maps. I think it was like Powerhouse, Sword Base. It was it actually. Maybe just those two maps.
I remember the Reach beta very well.
Do ya? Nice.
But
Right
yeah,
on.
it
My
had
people.
Headhunter, Powerhouse. I remember that vividly. It also had Invasion on Boneyard. Was in the
That's
beta.
right.
I loved it because the elites were purple and the Spartans were green, and I was really sad at launch when they brought it back to red versus blue.
Oh man, I forgot all about that. Yeah, you got the huge knowledge bombs here. That's super cool. You remember that so vividly. Yeah, no, for sure. So I think I think we'll see a couple of maps. They won't do all of them, like 2 or 3, and maybe like one big team map or 1 or 2 big team maps. I think we'll only see a little bit of the game. But honestly, man, it could be one map with like only assault rifles, and I'll still be stoked just because I'm so excited to see this game.
You know what? I would get behind that. I wouldn't say no to that. Of course, I'd want more, but if that was what we got, I'd still be happy and I'd still play it. One of the things I actually can't wait to get my hands on, with all the new like weapons and shit like that, you're talking about like ARs. Ironically, I think the VK Commando. I just really want to see what that feels like and how it plays, even though it's not one of the crazy new flashy banished guns or anything like that. It's kind of just a standard rifle, but I kind of want to get my hands on it and see like where does it fit in the sandbox. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think with a lot of those guns too, the ones that maybe aren't as cool for, or maybe not as like competitive weapons for multiplayer, I'm just excited to use them in the campaign as well. That'll be super fun.
Yeah. One thing that I found very interesting is that um, I haven't seen any fully automatic Covenant weapons at all yet. I'm wondering like what the standard brute or elite enemy is gonna use. Like what's gonna be like the plasma rifle or the spiker equivalent? Because it looks like it's just gonna be like the pulse carbine.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. You're right. I wasn't even thinking about all the different weapons. I wonder which other weapons they're also going to bring back. If they're going to make some adaptations to those. Like I know we saw the what's possibly the scatter shot. I think you weighed in on that in one of your videos where you said that's going to be a banished weapon, and other people are saying that it's a Promethean weapon. Is that right?
Yeah, I didn't make a video. I just made a community post because I am so firm in my belief that this weapon is a banished weapon, and I've seen many content creators come out and say that it's Promethean or Forerunner, and I'm hedging my bets, man. I'm putting all the chips in. I'm going all in. I think it's a banished gun. I could be wrong, but we'll find out.
Hey, but imagine if you're right, where everyone else has doubted you, and you get to make that YouTube video, and it's just titled "I was right, the weapon was banished." You know, it's going to be huge. So I think you got to hedge your bets for sure. Also, man, I don't know why people are messing with your lore knowledge. Like you got a pretty good understanding of that. So if I was a betting man, I'd be betting on Road Man.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. I've got a couple bets going for Infinite actually. Actually, I've got a Halo Infinite bingo sheet, believe it or not. Just to see with like full of things that I expect to be in the game. They're all negative things, by the way. It's a very pessimistic bingo sheet.
That's funny. Like, what's one of the worst ones on there?
One gun meta, which is basically,
Battle
you
rifle.
know, yeah, exactly. Battle rifle dominated the meta in Halo 3. Competitively, you could pick up other weapons, but you realistically probably wouldn't unless it was like a power weapon, for example. But you're not picking up a needler or a plasma rifle, or you're just using a BR. In Reach, it was the DMR. In Halo 5, it's the Magnum. So one of the things on my bingo sheet is that a weapon, I don't know which one, but one weapon in Halo Infinite will dominate the meta, just like the other Halo games, which I'd really love to see them get away from, but I think it's going to happen again.
Yeah, that's tough, isn't it? I mean, like at least in Reach, I would say like the needle rifle was super cool. And kind of competed with the DMR in a sense, right?
Yeah, the needle rifle had its ups and downs for sure, but even if you extended to that, like a two-gun meta, when both guns are very functionally similar with a few quirks, it's kind of the same deal, but better than Halo 5.
Which gun do you think it's going to be then in Infinite? Like from what you've seen so far, do you think any of those weapons you've seen so far are going to be the one gun meta? Is it going to be the battle rifle again?
I think if I had to bet, I would say it's either going to be the battle rifle or the commando. I feel like it would be the battle rifle just because I expect the battle rifle to be like the spawn gun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Weapon that you spawn with. But the commando looks like it has potential to kind of run the show because it looks a little bit more oppressive than the BR. We'll have to wait and see though.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm totally with you though. I'm a Halo 3 nut, so obviously I love the battle rifle. Keep it in the game, make it good, but we need some variety. It gets very boring watching MLG games where everyone's just using the battle rifle over and over again, trying to hit their four shots. You want to see mix it up, have something that's like a counter to it. That's what I'd really like to see. Something that's like, you can use the battle rifle, but it loses to this weapon, but you can use that weapon, but it loses to this weapon. That's the kind of dynamic gameplay that I want to see.
Yeah, we need a little bit of rock paper scissors sort of balancing in Halo to really mix things up, bring it to the next
Absolutely.
level. Um, Again, speaking on the subject of weapons, actually, I've got two more points on weapons that we can talk about. One of them is that I have a friend who talking about the Spartan laser and how I think he might have saw a video. I don't know. He was talking about the other night. Thinks the Spartan laser is too overpowered, and I definitely agree with him in that it sort of just deletes vehicles at any distance, kind of like it's just like a free vehicle kill weapon, and it sort of leaves things like I don't know, like the rocket launcher kind of in the lurch. I guess they're better at killing infantry, but okay, to rephrase this, Spartan laser is very powerful against vehicles, and I guess there's a spot for that in the sandbox, but Halo is so diverse and it's got so many ways you can deal with vehicles, from hijacking to plasma pistols and plasma grenades to, other weapons like the Reach grenade launcher could EMP. and stuff like that, where the Spartan laser kind of feels a little bit more boring than that because you just point it at a vehicle and the vehicle goes away. And I don't think the Spartan laser should be removed. I love it as a weapon. I think it needs a bit of a nerf. I wouldn't mind if it had um, maybe you had to reload the battery on it every once in a while. Like you do two shots and then you have to do a reload, and maybe like a damage fall off for range. So it still has that infinite range, but if you shoot something really far away, it's not going to do nearly as much damage as if you shoot something like 8 feet in front of you. What do you think about nerfing the Spartan laser?
It's an awesome question. I think this was a Ascend Hyperion's video, wasn't it?
It very well could be. I didn't watch the video myself. My friend watched it and he was just talking about his thoughts on it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I actually think I saw the video. I think it was Ascend Hyperion. I watched it coming in very skeptical because the Spartan Laser was my favorite addition to Halo 3 in terms of weapons. I just think it's such a cool design for a weapon, like the way it looks, the way it feels, being able to get a 2-for-1, the fact that that was an achievement, Spartan lasering, people out of the man cannon. It's just such a cool weapon. I love it so very much, and the new iterations of it in new games have been fine. But you're right. It's even now going back and playing MCC and playing Halo 3. Like I said, I like to use vehicles. It's just impossible, especially on a heavies map when there's like 2 to 3 lasers. It's impossible to do anything. How are you supposed to have fun in a vehicle if the laser just kills you instantly and they can kill you from anywhere? And quite frankly, it's not very hard to use. You can be a noob and still hit a vehicle with a laser, right? There's really
Absolutely.
no skill barrier there. So he actually sold me when I watched that video. I didn't think I was going to be convinced. He sold me. He made all of those points and arguments that you just sort of illustrated. And I think it's okay to remove the laser. I'll be sad because it's a cool weapon and I love it. But I think it's actually okay to remove it entirely. If they do keep it in the game, I'd like to see exactly what you're saying. It toned down. Keep it to 4 shots instead of 5 like they've done in new renditions. Yeah, I don't know how else you would balance it, honestly. Those are good ideas, though. I think, though, honestly, at that point, if you're like removing how much damage it does at a distance, you're kind of taking away the laser's charm. But yeah, maybe there's a way to do that better. Maybe they just make the vehicles a bit stronger so that it doesn't one-shot them, perhaps, rather than like nerfing the laser per se. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the Spartan laser.
Yeah, they could also maybe do something with charge time and the indicator laser because, like you said, if you're playing Halo and you see that little laser appear on your vehicle, you don't have time to do anything. You can press the get out button and you'll die before you get out. So there's not really a point to it anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
That's true. Yeah, like even make the reticle or the crosshairs like harder to hit. Like I don't know. I think it's a tough one. I'd have to really sit down and think about like what do I want the laser to do. But yeah, I agree that they should find a way to balance that better because it is sort of a fun killer. That's just as it is as a weapon. It provides fun when you can get like 2-for-1s and really cool clips like that. I still want that to be in the game, but not so much do I want the fact that if I get in a vehicle, I die instantly and have to respawn with no vehicles again. That
yeah.
I can lose that part of the game.
Ironically, I think Halo Infinite has actually shown us a remedy to what you've said about the fun of getting like those 2-for-1 shots or the charm of the laser. I think that might come back in the form of the skewer. I think that might be the laser replacement.
It does look pretty cool. Yeah, it was neat to see it like take out that warthog and it's make it go flying. Yeah, no, I'm super excited to see that. If that's like a replacement for the laser, then by all means I'm on board.
Yeah, it looks like one of the more fun new guns. um, I would have loved to see. Obviously, we've got the Wasp back. I've got a bit of a hot take actually. I really like the Wasp. I love the Falcon from Reach more, but I would go as far to put the Wasp above the Hornet. I think the Wasp is funner and just a better vehicle than the Halo 3 Hornet. Halo 3 Hornet had a great visual design. I love the way it looked. Gameplay wise, I think the Wasp just has it beat in the sandbox. But nothing tops the king that is the Falcon, and I really wish the Falcon would make a return. But I would also love if it did come back for it to have a bit more armor because pretty much everything in Reach. Like if you're in a BTB heavies game and you hop in a Falcon, that thing is doomed. Like a Scorpion, a Gauze-Hog, a laser, a rocket, like any of these things will like one tap you and you're just dead. Like back to the
Yeah,
spawn
or just
area.
two guys shooting at you with a DMR, like
Yeah, I would love the Falcon to come back as like a beefier. You could like they could balance it too, make it slower or something, but like a heavier air vehicle because Halo's never really had that as well, like an armored, like a flying tank almost kind of thing. Maybe not like that strong, but but a heavier set flying vehicle with a bit more durability to it. All the flying stuff is pretty fragile. So just what are your thoughts on UNSC air vehicles? Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. I love UNSC air vehicles. I remember pretty vividly when I saw the Hornet for the first time. You know how excited I was as a kid. Like it's just so cool, right? I have the same opinion about air vehicles that the Falcon is probably the coolest. I really enjoyed using it in Halo Reach multiplayer, either to fly or on someone's gunner. Me and my buddies, like that's what we do. We just get in each other's vehicles and like try to do as much damage as we can, just to spread
Yeah.
carnage to the enemy team. So that's like just the fun stuff to do, right? So either if I'm driving the Falcon and setting up the guy on my right turret, or trying to get them both in range, which is also kind of a difficult task. I love that vehicle. I think you're totally right. Why not add a little bit more durability? It's not like it's that strong of a vehicle. You don't have a gun as the driver. You gotta rely on your gunners, and those guns are somewhat strong, but not like overpowered by any means. So yeah, I could see it being more durable, but I'm really hoping that all the vehicles are maybe just a little bit more so in that way in Infinite. As I'm a vehicle lover, so I'm totally into that. Yeah, the Wasp. I don't know. Maybe it's just that I wasn't a big fan of what it was introduced in Halo 4, I think, right?
Halo 5.
It was introduced in Halo 5. Yeah, maybe it's just because I
Halo
wasn't.
4 Halo 4 had no UNSC air vehicle whatsoever.
Yeah, in Halo 4, you got to fly in the Pelican for the first time, though. I think, right?
That's true. Just in the one campaign level, but they didn't bring it to multiplayer, which is very
Yeah,
sad.
gotcha. I just remembering that. Yeah, Halo 5, that was the epic, like, yeah, you had to go through that epic, like, what do you even call it? Like Star Wars kind of, like flight simulator thing. That was super
Well, it's
cool.
like the broadsword or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, that was super fun. So yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's cool that it's in there. I'm sure I'm gonna end up loving it when I get my hands on the game. But yeah, I'd like to see the Falcon, and sure, let's give it some more durability. I can agree with that.
Yeah. One thing I've talked about a lot with my buddies too is about this up armored variant of the Falcon could easily fit in the sandbox with the Wasp. I think there's room for both of them to both be in the game. Why not? Like have a heavier set, more team focused air vehicle, and then have a lighter single man strike craft that's faster and more nimble in the Wasp, right? I think there's totally room for them both to fit nicely into the game. And it'd be I'll just imagine like a fleet or whatever, like seeing a fully loaded up Falcon with like two Wasps escorting it. That'd be so sick.
That's a pretty cool scene. Yeah, that would make for a good YouTube video for sure.
And I just love like the team dynamic, like you were just saying, like one of your favorite things. And I mean, I think it's probably the same for any group of friends or any people listening is hopping in a Falcon with your buddies is one of the best feelings in the game or in any Halo. And same with like a Warthog. And I love those team orientated vehicles. That's why I'm so excited to see like the Razorback and stuff popping into the game. And I think that's just what Halo is all about. Just like hopping in a vehicle with your friends and just like going on a crazy journey. And like even if you don't do good, you blow up in the Warthog and you and your buddies are all screaming like, "Hey!" You're flipping through the air, you get stuck, or like your gunner dies and you have to go pick him up. Like that's what Halo is to me, and I just want to see more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's me and my friends, we're just blaming each other, like, oh wait, why'd you drive over there? That was a dumb idea. Well, hey, you didn't shoot that guy. Like that's me and my buddies, but that's part of the fun, isn't it?
Yeah, my friends say I'm a shit driver, but they're wrong. I'm great.
See, I get that. I got a buddy who like he literally always has to drive. Like he won't get in the gunner. He's no, I don't want the gunner. He has to drive. I don't like your driving, right? I don't know. He thinks he's so great. I think I'm pretty good at it. Every time we play those those crazy obstacle courses where you have to do those like Warthog or Mongoose like racetrack style obstacle things. Like I always end up doing them way faster than he does. So yeah, Scott, I got your number.
Yeah, I got a buddy. My buddy Matt. He's like our dedicated pilot. Pretty much every time there's a Falcon, he's like, "I'm the pilot."
I'm the captain now.
Yeah. All right, I think that's just gonna about do it for us today. Of course, thank you for coming along, BounD. We had a lot of great discussion there, and if you guys want to hear more from BounD, link to his channel in the description, and keep an eye on the channel. Maybe he'll be back.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on, Roman. It was a lot of fun. Just to everyone watching, if you do end up checking out my channel, I am going to be making content. I'm still not like 100% sure of like how things are going to go. I'm sure things will change as I learn the YouTube algorithm and all that stuff. But I definitely plan to make like essay style videos on all of the things that were like awesome about Halo. Mostly probably from the good old days, the Halo 3 days. So, if you're a big fan of that era and you like learning more about the history of Halo, then please check it out, subscribe, and I'll be making more videos about that soon.
Well, I think we had a great chat. I think we can probably wrap it up there.
Sure.
Fuck off.